Hi guys, Paul here at Radio Shop Pickups in South Wales, and in this video, which is part of our Tone Geekery series, we're going to explore how to avoid the dreaded out of phase when combining one single coil pickup with another. It's going to get a little bit sciencey, and I'm going to get some paper out and a pen as well and show you some diagrams. So, there's a lot to pick up, and it's going to be quite an in-depth video and lots of permutations explored. And hopefully it'll just help you if you're a luthier, if you're doing your own guitar pickup installations or any scenario at all. It'll help you to assess a pickup and then avoid any possible out of phase scenarios. And we're going to start by looking at what a single coil pickup is. And that will kind of lead us down the road also to what a humbucker is. I will start by saying though that unfortunately within the pickup industry there's no agreement within companies. You know, I would love it if there was, and if somebody said tomorrow, let's charge our pickups the same way, let's wind our pickups directionally the same way, we're all going to do this, it's going to be much easier, I would jump on board with that. But there's not going to be an agreement like that. So these issues are going to arise, unfortunately. And they arise from two things, basically. You can wind pickups two different ways, and you can charge them magnetically north or south up. And while those issues are there, and while those choices are there, every company has decided which way they do it, and unfortunately may not agree with another company. So let's explore that now. Let's look at what a single coil pickup is, and I'm going to show you some things that you can do later to avoid these out of phase issues. Now in basic terms, a single coil pickup seen here in strap form is 6 magnets with some copper wire around it, usually around about 8,000 turns, and that is the coil then. So that's the single coil aspect of that. The first aspect of whether things are going to be in phase or not is the direction of wind. Now you can see here that there are two eyelets. In Radio Shop we start on the left and we finish the winding on the right, and that means that we have a clockwise direction of wind. Other manufacturers start on the right eyelet and finish on the left. And that means that they are winding on in an anti-clockwise fashion, or counterclockwise for you guys in North America. So that was the first aspect. The second aspect is the magnetic orientation of the pickup. Now we put the pickup on its side and we get an old-fashioned geographical compass. Unfortunately, you can't use the app on your phone because that's based on GPS. And you can see there that this pickup is attracting north. So it's basically a south up charged pickup. So we'll describe our pickup there as south up. If I turn it, flip it over, you can see that it's attracting the other way. And that is the top of the pickup. And we always describe things when viewed from above. So that is the top of the pickup. It's attracting north, which means it's charged south up. So let's have a look at a pair of our pickups and a couple of scenarios that could come up, and we'll explore some more permutations later. But basically, if you paired two of our pickups together, you would find that you're pairing two clockwise winds with two pickups that are both charged south up, and you're going to have in phase. But you might find that one of those things is different. So basically, if the direction of the wind and the magnetic orientation agrees, then you'll have in phase. If both are different, this is actually what led to the creation of the humbucker. So for instance, you may have a clockwise paired with an anti-clockwise, one of which is north and one of which is south up. And then you have humbucking. So that was the genesis of the humbucker, really. So if both things agree, you'll have in phase. If both things are opposite, you'll have humbucking. But if one thing is different, you will actually end up with out of phase. So either the magnetic orientation doesn't agree on both of them, or the direction of wind doesn't agree on both of them. If one thing is wrong, you're going to end up with out of phase. And we'll talk about how you can avoid that a little bit later. Now we're going to look at a finished pickup to see if we can determine what the direction of wind is. Now if you look at this pickup here, you can see that there are two very faint copper wires which come from the coil and go to the solder eyelets. One of them is actually going to the coil, but it is trapped underneath all of the other winds. This means that that is the start wire, because it must have started the pickup there and now it's trapped underneath all the winds. Whereas if you look at this one on the right, this one is the finish wire because it goes to the end of the coil. I can actually snap that one, reel some copper off, and actually resolder from the end of the coil. oftentimes this is how we fix the pickup, by reeling that one off. But this one on the left here, that is definitely the start, because you can see clearly that it's buried underneath all of the winds, and that one is definitely the finish. Now there is one small thing which is a bit of a red herring, which is going to cause some problems when determining pickups. You can see quite clearly that the white on the left there is the start and the black is the finish. But you could have actually soldered that up in an opposite fashion, and that would actually flip the orientation of the pickup. So again, white is the start and black is the finish. But what if you soldered black to the left eyelet and white to the right eyelet? It still would have been wound on clockwise, as you can see from where the wires are coming from, but they can actually flip. That would flip the orientation of how everything's been sent around. And that will actually help us a little bit later. So you need to look out for that, just in case some manufacturers, they do actually wind on clockwise, but they change the order of how they solder everything up in order to flip the orientation. Confused? Now, what I think is a really good idea, if you're sort of assessing whether your pickups are going to match up, is to draw a little diagram. So I've just done 2 dots. On the left here we have start, and on the right we have finish. And then by looking at the pickup and which one is trapped underneath all the others, you can determine which way round it's being wound. So we can see here we have a clockwise one, and just mark that as a clockwise in that fashion. We get the compass out and we work out whether it's attracting north, and in this case it is, which means it is a south up. So once we've got a little diagram, that will help, and we can label that pickup 1, and then we can draw another diagram and we can see if things are going to work out or not. Now I've done up a number of permutations, and we'll just go through these. There's 6 permutations. I think it's pretty much everything that you could encounter. And in scenario number 1, we're looking at a pickup which starts on the left, finishes on the right, so that it's a clockwise wind, and it is charged south up. And we're matching that with another pickup of the exact same fashion. Clockwise wind, also charged south up. That is going to be in phase. Now in scenario 2, we're pairing up 2 pickups which have a different winding orientation. So you can see here that pickup 1 is actually clockwise, but pickup 2 is anti-clockwise. They both charge south up. So one of the things doesn't agree, therefore we're going to have out of phase. In scenario number 3, we've actually got the same direction of wind, both clockwise, but one is charged south and one is charged north. So again, one of the things doesn't agree, we have out of phase. Now in scenario 4, this is kind of the genesis of the humbucker really. We've actually got opposing directions of wind and also opposing magnetic orientation. So now we have humbucking. It's not actually a humbucker because they connected in parallel in a Strat circumstance or Telecaster, but if it connected end to end in series, it would be a humbucker. Let's have a look at scenario 5, and here we have 2 clockwise winds, one north, one south. Again, one thing doesn't agree, so we have out of phase. And in scenario 6, both are actually anti-clockwise, so we have the same direction of wind, but we have a north and a south. So we, again, have out of phase because one thing doesn't agree. Now let's have a little look about what we can do about some of these scenarios. So look at scenario 2 again. We've got a clockwise with an anti-clockwise, both charged south. Now we can flip the wires on one of the pickups. So we're changing basically what is the start and what is the finish. So let's say you had the white on the left and the black on the right. You don't need to resolder the pickup. What you would do is, if the white is going to hot and going to the switch, let's say on a Strat, and the black is going to ground, you're going to desolder those and send them the other way. So you're going to put the white to ground and the black to the switch instead. You may need to use jumper wires, but that would change that from being a anti-clockwise wind to a clockwise wind. And now we've got everything agreeing, so we'll have in phase. Scenario 3, we've got the same direction of wind, but we do have opposing magnetic orientation. Again, choose one of the pickups, flip the orientation of where those wires go, send the hot to ground instead and the ground to hot, and you'll be changing that, or one of them, to anti-clockwise effectively, and you'll actually be getting in phase and humbucking because both things are now different. And it'll put this closer to scenario 3, which is humbucking. So in short then, the easiest way to fix an out of phase pickup is by choosing a pickup and flipping where the hot and the ground go. But there is an extra level of complication. If you have on one of your pickups something like this, you could have it on Telecaster or on a Stratocaster, you might have a base plate. And the black wire, the ground wire, is connected to the metal base plate. That needs to be retained. Because it's a metal part, it needs to be sent to ground, and you have to keep that intact. If you flip the wires on this pickup, you may encounter some noise issues because that is now not being sent to ground. So what I would do is focus on a different pickup, perhaps a pickup, hopefully one of the other pickups doesn't have anything metal attached to it that needs to be sent to ground, and then you can easily flip the wires on that pickup instead. It really doesn't matter on a single coil that doesn't have anything metal attached to it. It doesn't matter which one of the two is sent to ground and which one is sent to hot. So that would be how to solve that, and hopefully one of the pickups is easy to flip in this regard. So, as you can see, it got a little bit complicated and there are lots and lots of permutations. It is a shame that there is no agreed upon, direction of wind or an agreed upon way of charging pickups, whether it be north or south when it comes to single coils. The easiest way, let's be fair, to avoid all of this is to get all of your single coil pickups from one manufacturer. That is the most straightforward way, but a lot of us like to mix different pickups, and I think that's completely valid as well. You might have one thing that works in the bridge and you like something else in the neck. And just by following that little guide and just, make some notes, and that's my suggestion really, is to draw out little diagrams for each pickup, and so you can determine which way round it's been wound and which way it's been charged, and then you can sort of work out whether it's going to agree. And again, if both things, i.e. the direction of wind and the orientation of the magnets, if both things agree, then you're going to have in phase. If both things are opposite to each other, you're going to end up with humbucking. But if one thing is different, you're going to end up with out of phase. And there are little things that you can do, such as flipping the wires to change that direction of wind. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. If you enjoyed this video, we'd love it if you'd hit subscribe. There'd be lots more content and lots more in-depth stuff about pickups as well coming up very soon. And we'd also love it if you check out our pickups. We're based in South Wales in the UK. We make strap pickups, telly, P90s, humbuckers, you name it. Have a little look at our website, and we'd love it if you'd consider us for your next pickup project. See you in the next video, guys.